Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in with us here. We are starting a new series today for Project Success Academy, and it's called Inside Project Success Academy. So, we're going to do some interviews with the instructors and the people behind the scenes that make everything happen with Project Success Academy. And we're going to talk a little bit about what we do, why we do it, and who is involved with that. So, today I'm really, really honored that I get to have Tanya Boyd with me on this interview. Tanya is going to introduce herself and tell a little bit about her. But we've been able to be connected for several years now. We just keep getting further in that process. And so it's great. And so about a year ago, this has been almost exactly a year, I think.
Yeah.
And Tanya was so gracious to offer to kind of bring me into the fold of everything that's going on with PSA. And it's been such an honor to work alongside this team and work alongside her and the team at Corbeau and everything that everybody's doing there. And so I just come in when they need me. And Tanya is the star of this show. And so I'm really, really honored to start this interview with you. So introduce yourself, Tanya, and tell us who you are and what your role is at Project Success Academy.
Okay, sure. My name is Tanya Boyd. I am the Director of Creative Collaboration with Project Success Academy in Corbeau Tech. So in that role, a little bit, wear a lot of different hats, which is very relatable for many different many project managers. So, but the biggest goal is to make sure that we are there for our partners, for our students, and that we're helping project managers kind of lead forward into this dynamic future that we're all facing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is not an understatement that you wear a lot of hats. You do a lot of stuff for this company and for all the partners that are involved. I'm not sure if we have a running list right this second that we could go over, but you can go to projectsuccessacademy.com and you can check out the instructors that are teaching. And we're going to, again, in this series, be interviewing all of these people, but you can learn a little bit more about them. You can see what classes they're teaching and you can purchase those classes and learn. And there's some really great initiatives that we have going on. We do for veterans and those active in the military as well. And that's a big part of what you guys do there. And so let's talk a little bit about your role specifically as the Director of Creative Collaboration. Explain to us what that means, if you can, and what does that role mean to you?
So the role to me and for the company involves a lot of brand awareness, just getting us out into the marketplace. So many of us that are on this team have been very, very heavily involved with PMI chapters or Project Management Institute chapters. That was much of our background. So we understand a lot about the different certification programs, such as the PMP, the CAPM, Agile, and risk management. So that's one part of the role is being what is called an authorized training partner with PMI and being able to teach some of those certification courses. So while I am not teaching that specific curriculum currently, we do have instructors that specialize in that, and my role is to help elevate them, to help support them, and to connect them with not only the Project Management Institute chapters, but also other business professionals. Because outside of the chapters, there are a ton of different industries, every different kind of industry that is practicing project management that may not understand some of the concepts. So that's one part of the role is the instruction piece. The other part of the role is we're partnered with people who are doing a lot in the AI space as far as training. The past few years have been exceptionally dynamic with all of us trying to learn which AI tool works the best, how to become more proficient, and how to think outside of the box with AI to do our jobs better. So we've got partnership with AI partners. We've also got partnerships with people who are doing it a lot in the project management office or PMO space. And then partners that help us to remind everybody about humanity and burnout and wellness, and why in the middle of all of this crazy mix, it's so important for us to be mindful of not only our health, but our teammates' health as well. So, a lot of different moving pieces and parts. I hope that kind of recapped some of it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great rendition of kind of the high level of what you do, and you're 100% spot on that. You definitely help to elevate the instructors and the partners and the things that are going on through PSA, the things that we're working on, the initiatives that we have going, and we're so grateful for all that you. I don't know how in the world, and I don't even know half of what you do, but I know it's a lot because I know you always have a million things going on, and so you also, speak at a lot of different events and things like that. You're kind of on the go all the time, which is pretty amazing, and you're really great at it. And so a lot of people like to have you back. And so if anybody's looking for a great speaker, either virtually or in person, Tanya is available for that, and she's fantastic. We also have some other videos on this platform that we're going to post on that show and highlight a lot of your speaking, and so people can kind of get an idea of what you do and how you kind of come across to an audience and things like that, and so that they could book you and you could go for speaking for them as well. And so, and you've quite made quite the name for yourself in the speaking, especially in like the PMI circles and all that. I also love that you tell what the acronyms are because I jokingly talk a lot about in different things that I'm doing that project managers love the acronyms, and there's always 10 more every time I'm on a call with somebody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have like a running joke that I think I should try like making an acronym quiz for project managers or for people who are not in project management to understand what they're talking about. But yeah, there's a lot to what you do. You're definitely the heart behind a lot of what goes on at PSA, and you are definitely the driver behind the things that are moving and shaking and doing, and what everybody and you're fabulous at it, absolutely phenomenal at it. And so I'm just grateful to be on with you. I'm grateful to work alongside you on some initiatives and do some things together. I hope that we get to continue to do those things, because it's been a real honor to learn from you and just to take guidance from you and direction on, this is the vision you have. You're a very visionary person, and you see the big picture, but then you're able to kind of hone it down to the small picture as well. So now you do teach some stuff on the PSA site. So let's talk about that a little bit. What do you teach? What can we learn from you?
So one of the big things that I started with when I first started with the company, I mean, and even just the timing, I had been on the project for the Peer Management Alliance, which helped to give me some confidence on the self-recording video piece because that was something I had never done before. I had done speaking in person, speaking virtually, but having to face myself, the camera, in my own space, script it, and get through the content was a completely different type of project. And that's what people don't see behind the scenes. It's like everything that you do, every different format, every different little level, every different talk requires a totally different set of both vision and then the execution of it and the energy behind the scenes to figure out how to lift yourself up, how to maintain it, how to keep going, how to give yourself grace when it's not going well, and then just the resilience to start back. So, when I first came on board, one of my first projects was to put together a communication series. It was really initially envisioned just to be like a 30-minute or a 1 hour course. And then I'm what I would call extra. I mean, in Louisiana, we have lagniappe, so it was like I got really, really, really extra with it. And then it was like, you know what? I think this can actually turn into 3 courses. And then that turned into about 7 hours. So it is a self-recorded course, which goes through kind of a beginner's project management or beginner's communications for
Mhm.
project managers, and then a middle one where I align it with the metaphors such as different tools. And then the third level where it's more of cookbook recipes. So it turned out to be a 7-hour series, which we have now got on Project Success Academy for $49.99. These are all self-paced, so people are allowed to go through it at their own pace. And if there's something that they already know or bores them, they can skip along to the next level because I tried to program it even a few years ago with very thought-provoking, very creative aspects. Some new things that I'm working on, and I will be very transparent and say I don't have my timeline straight on exactly when these will be done and released with the schedule, but one on conflict management,
Mm,
because I
okay.
think that that's a big
Yeah,
thing,
absolutely.
and also another one on storytelling and frameworks, because at
Very popular right now.
the heart of everything that I do, it's not really just another framework or another acronym. I want to create it in a way that's very memorable, a little bit tongue in cheek. It's both educational, but hopefully there's some heart and some humor behind it. Because my core drivers, it's curiosity, connection, communication, and creativity. So always pulling people into the fold, always getting them involved in the communications, but then being curious enough to continue to ask different questions and becoming more creative in how we ask those questions, because I think that's a skill that all of us need to learn because not just AI, but it's like getting information from our stakeholders, understanding what the root cause is or what the problem is, and how do we work together to get past that? Or I think things that we're always going to need to bring with us into the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And the communications course is fantastic. I have listened to it. It's very, very good. It's an exceptional price. And I love the fact that it's self-paced as well. So you can kind of stop and start and kind of work with your schedule. As far as I know, there's no like ending on it. Once you buy it, you
No,
buy it. And so
mm-mm,
you
no,
could use this over and over. You could go back to it. You could review it again. You could kind of highlight points that, kind of resonated with you or spoke to you. And you can kind of come back and use it as a tool. It's a fantastic course, and I look forward to the other course you're talking about because those are really, really great and very, very needed in this industry. And you price them at such a fantastic price, and so I love that. I love that you put that out there and that you're willing to teach people. Let's talk a little bit about what the topics that you speak on because you have a lot of really fun stuff
sure.
you speak on. And those topics are important as well. And those are not like a self-paced course that we can buy, but people can hire you for money, preferably, to come and speak because you are a fantastic speaker. You do an amazing
Correct.
job. So let's talk. Don't give away the whole thing, but tell us a little bit about just a couple of the things that you generally speak on, because you have a real creative twist to some of this. And also, you did kind of mention this, but you are in Louisiana. And so, you do have a little bit of a beautiful accent, which I love. I always love hearing you talk, and I think that helps a lot too with your speaking engagements because it's so intriguing and so interesting to hear you because you are not boring at all. And so
Thank
I
you.
think that helps a lot. So tell us a little bit about what are some topics that you speak on?
So there's a variety. I'll go back to the beginning a little bit on where it started. It started actually with when I was in leadership with the PMI chapter, with PMI Baton Rouge. This was during the pandemic. It was tough during those days because we had to take things and go from in person to virtual. So finding the speakers, there were gaps with that because everybody was navigating the pandemic all at the same time,
Yeah,
trying to figure out how we deal with our new background checks that we had with everybody like, you're in our house now. So one of the things that was super, super important to me as a chapter leader, I knew that everybody was going through a lot of confusion, a lot of overwhelm. So it was important to me to keep people connected. And when we couldn't find speakers, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to create it because we have to have this meeting. We've got to keep people connected or it'll just dry up.
absolutely. Yeah.
So the first thing that I tackled was Tuckman's model, and I always liked that because it was like, okay, the team comes together, then sometimes they fight, even though they're friends. I was like, fight. Why does conflict happen? How do we get back to normal? How do we actually perform really well together? And then the part that everybody misses, which is the actually closing a project. So that was the first one I started doing virtually. Being an extrovert and a creative, I do tend to meander a lot with the vision. It is very hard for me to sometimes have the vision and then figure out how do I execute
Mm,
these visions? How do I get the job done with the million and mile an hour ideas? But the journey just kind of evolved. So then that was 2021 with Tuckman's model. I did a pump up your professional development for the chapter where I went through what PMI does in their talent triangle. Then 2023 came around. I had had a big layoff or I had my third layoff since the pandemic with the tech company. And at about the same time, I had done my first gumbo presentation, which it was a completely different vision in 2023. But I did that for what was called LIM, our Leadership Institute meeting. It got people interested in me, and I started having chapters say, hey, can you do storytelling and project management? And so that was a little bit of the inception of the idea. Around the same year, I started my photography business because I was kayaking a lot in the swamp. So the idea hit me, why don't I just make a little bit of my inside joke with acronyms and do tales from the swamp, navigating the murky waters of project management. So it was layoff, it was swamp, it was being asked to do new things. Part of gumbo had already happened. And this was around the time that AI started becoming more popular.
mhm,
So I used AI to kind of brainstorm different ideas of how I imagine swamp on the 5 different phases of a project from initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and closing. So I used AI during that year to build my images after my layoff, and I've done Tales from the Swamp at least 20 different times. I haven't done it this much this year, but I will have a presentation for AITP Chicago or technology professionals in Chicago on October 6th this year. So that started, like I said, that journey started and it just fed into the other ones. One of the more popular ones this year has been gumbo, the flavor of project success. So again, it's me mixing it up to bring in my home state. I like the 5-letter acronyms because it's not too heavy to remember, but I try to align it with leadership principles. So gumbo is growth, uniqueness, meaningful outcomes, belonging, and ownership. And so I've started kind of varying the flavor of that, whether I'm talking to students, gets one version. I've done it for a cooking class, has got another version. And then, of course, for project managers, I add in different elements of PMIs more.
yeah.
So those are
Yeah,
some
but
of them. Thrive and Beyond Fear was a big one. So
yeah.
all different stuff.
And for just a little bit more clarification for people who don't know, these are talks that you do. Like
Yes.
we were discussing, these can be at PMI Project Management Institute events at different chapters. It can be at you did this at PMI Global last year, which is
Yep.
incredible.
Yep.
And then you also do this for other companies. You've worked with some pretty major corporations doing these talks, and so it's basically a play on, like you said, a creative play on, where you come from in Louisiana and gumbo being such a big part of your life and the recipe for that. And you're taking that recipe and using a creative twist to put real world applicable ideas and information to people and to give that information in a way that they can remember and that's exciting and that's interesting and it's not just some boring person doing a speech. So no offense to anybody that has boring speeches, but Tanya's are not boring. You did another one, wasn't it like a rock star one or
It was Billy Idol,
yeah.
was my inspiration. So this was I came up with this idea. Actually, it was not this past year because I've talked for PMI New Jersey, PDD, 2 years in a row. I was there last year doing Thrive and Beyond Fear, and it was after the PDD. Not many people were still in the hotel, so I had some time to myself. And PMI is very big on their more framework. And so
Right.
I guess my brain kept hearing more, more, more. So the creative level and the wordplay bounced over to Billy Idol's Rebel Yell. So I started just kind of giving some thought to it. And I was like, what on earth would Billy Idol, if I wanted to make this a thing, what on earth does Billy Idol have to do with project management? And so I was doing a lot of research. Before there was AI, I would do this anyway with Google search, constantly,
Now it's
constantly
just for
researching
fun though.
everything. And it was like I started to see his evolution. So if you break down what more is according to Project Management Institute, it's managed perceptions. Well, he did that. He walked in, you knew what you were getting. You were getting the blonde spiky hair, you were getting the snarl, you were getting the big energy, you were getting the leather jacket. And then their next layer of own project success, he did that too. Any rock star, any band that constantly tours from city to city to city, to sound check, to travel logistics, to different audiences, different stakeholders. And if you even think about music, what happened with MTV, Napster, ticket prices going up, the pandemic happening, they've all lived that level of they have to reinvent themselves to
Mhm.
own project success. And then the next piece of relentless reassessment. Every single one of us have to do that. We're dealing with change every single day at a pace. I don't remember, like, I remember huge instances like 9/11 and having been in the World Trade Center. I was in the World Trade Center for 3 weeks, 3 months before 9/11. I was at the cusp of things with Hurricane Katrina for
Mhm.
like 8 years. I worked in the mortgage industry before the big short. So I've definitely lived through some wild instances that changed the world, but we're seeing change at a rate that has never happened. So relentless reassessment starts when you wake up in the morning every day now. And then just expanding perspectives. I mean, Billy Idol he's global. He's being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Fun fact, I will see him on September 2nd, knock on wood, but this will be in Las Vegas. He's performing. So I'm
Wow, how very
probably going to
exciting.
bring a big leather jacket and sweat like crazy in Vegas at that concert because it's Billy Idol.
Right.
So yeah, that was a fun one that I got to do that for the first time last year at the PMI Houston
Mhm.
PDD.
That's right.
And I just got to do it for the second time when I presented for PMI Alamo. They got a kind of a threefer
That's
from
really
me with different
it's great
energy.
too. I had the honor of being able to walk through the presentation with you before you were getting ready to do it, and it's
Yeah,
fantastic. It's so good, so creative, so fun. And you dressed up for it when
I
you
did. Yeah.
presented, which was great.
Yeah.
And like you always have all these fun flares and things. And so I just love your creativity in that. Your title is so true to form because you are just definitely so creative in all the things that you do. Sometimes we get a little bogged down with the things that are like the mundane, and we have to do those but
Yep.
that's life.
We all have to do the mundane things. And that's what's funny. It's like people have they think that things are easy or they think that it's always exciting and always on the go. And I'm like, sometimes people don't see the weekends, they don't see the nights, they don't
Right.
see the absolute constant. And I have people that say, you must not really work, do you?
You
And
are,
I'm
so I
like, I
can
know
attest
y'all
to
see
that. She
these
works a
other
lot.
sides of Instagram or all the things, but a lot of times it's trying to blend all of those elements together and working
Yeah.
more than what naturally meets the eye just to keep it going and make it happen, you know?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And you do a fantastic job. And I
thank
I
you.
can attest to the fact that I don't know that you sleep because you work so
I
much.
do. I am definitely at that age that sleep is a requirement. I have friends that are in their 20s. They're like, "Well, we stayed up till 3." I was like, "You can have that. You
Yeah,
can
I don't want
totally
anything to do with that anymore. I'm like an
wasted that."
8:30 bedtimer now. I'm like, "Oh, it's time to go
Yeah.
lay down."
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you like prospective students to know about your teaching style, your work with PSA? Like, what's the most important thing? If you could name two things that were the most important things, what would they be?
I think with my work specifically with PSA, I mean, I'll give 2 levels, one as it applies to me as a teacher and then to our other teachers. For me, I will be the most creative teacher that you have ever had, and I can literally teach you how to be more curious and how to think differently and approach things from a different facet. For our other instructors, I believe in them. I believe in their heart. I believe in their soul. We have a community of instructors that truly, truly care about people, especially our veteran instructors. My goodness, I have the level of experience and having walked the path
Yeah.
on both really tough things that they faced in their lives and projects and their commitment to teaching and making other people better.
Hmm.
I love it. That
Yeah,
inspires me. I think they're great people,
I
so
agree.
that's what I want people to know.
I agree wholeheartedly about all of you on that. You're all very passionate. You all have so much to bring to the table. You have so many real world experiences and things behind you and projects that you've managed that have gone well and that haven't gone well. And none of you are afraid to share that and to impart that knowledge on other people and to give them the ability to learn and grow from the things that you've been through, but also from what they're walking through. You are all just absolutely incredible. You all just sit in the weeds with people and just, hey, let's figure it out. Well, we'll wrap up soon, but I want to talk a little bit about you specifically. You do all this swamp stuff. So you do photography, which is a little off the project management. And that's, I think, how you keep your sanity. And so
Probably.
you literally go into the swamp on a kayak, which is wild, and you take all these incredible pictures of all these just amazing things, plants and animals, and it's just absolutely crazy. And so people can go and see that about you too. They can buy these pictures. I had the unique opportunity to be so blessed by you to have a calendar of your pictures, and it's absolutely beautiful. I
Thank
have it right behind me. You can't really see it, but I flip through it. I look at it so regularly. My son loves it. He loves seeing the animals on it. It's really beautiful. And so people can buy these things from you as well. And that's kind of a side note. That's not a PSA. That's just a person. But tell us like a little bit about that. Tell us a day in the.
So the swamp journey, like I've always just loved I've always loved taking pictures. It's how I remember things, honestly.
Mhm.
It's how I place things. It's like I do have to get better about figuring it out with phone space, uploading, deleting things better because it's
Yeah.
a space sucker on things. But it was wild even how the photography journey started. So it was pretty much on my cell phone. And it was in 2023 we were out at Lake Martin, which I had the experience this past weekend in New Orleans, Marrero, West Bank, specifically where my grandparents grew up. I love New Orleans. I love Marrero, but their trees are totally different than
Really?
ours. Our trees are so, 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 so much older
Mm,
in Brobridge. Now, the
mm,
largest tree out there, cypress tree, is out in St. Francisville. I forget what they said, but it's thousands of years old. How
interesting.
that relates is the bases of these trees are absolutely enormous, like
They are.
longer than our bodies, enormous. And it was one day, and this was when we had individual kayaks. And I just leaned back. I don't know why I did it, but like the swamp was kind of lower, so some of the base was exposed. And I love seeing like the Spanish moss hang down.
Mhm.
And I just did like the Matrix, lean back and positioned my cell phone kind of up and took a picture of this tree. Well, I had posted it on this Louisiana nature group on Facebook. Within a week, that thing got over 8,000 likes. And my friend Emily Ward, who is now president of the PMI Baton Rouge chapter, and I live in Lafayette, she was like, they showed it on WAFB, which was one of our news stations in Baton
Wow, I didn't know
Rouge.
this.
And I was like, oh my gosh, if the news is actually going to share good news and not bad news and not something horrible, like I feel so accomplished right now. So like, because I search for the good feel good stories because I think
Sure.
sometimes like we're so inundated with
Absolutely.
terrible, awful news that breaks our heart. So I was like, they shared my tree. And so I had all these people going, where can I buy it? Where can I buy it? Where can I buy it? I have no idea, so I started like looking up photographers locally and seeing what their websites looked like because I knew nothing about it. So I found this one guy that I liked the way his website looked, and I could tell it was what was called a COTS, custom off the shelf. So I contacted him and I was like, hey, I really like you. I like your website. Can you tell me about it? And he led me to it. The company had a referral fee, so I made sure he got the referral fee, and we've
Nice.
met and, like, gone kayaking together, which
Yeah,
is I mean, he's here, it's like it's funny because, like, life leads you on that level sometimes, but I started my photography website. I eventually went up to, like, a regular camera. It's a Canon. So I did that first, and then I got a longer zoom lens. Now, some of those lenses are like $20,000. That's
yeah.
well out of scope for my budget. So my 800 millimeter, which allows me to get super close to alligators without being super close, that was about $1,000 that I spent on like a payment plan at Best Buy, and I got it. And I've had to learn that too because I'm like, it's not good for landscape, but if I wanna zoom in on a squirrel or an egret or an alligator and get their eyes, I can do that with the 800 millimeter. So I try to get out there anytime that I can. Right now, it's probably entirely too hot and too many mosquitoes. But I know just different seasons too, like certain seasons, they'll do what's called draining the swamp. It's a vegetation thing that they do, but it exposes the roots and base differently. And like photography has its parallels with project management. Your approach is everything. How you approach your stakeholders, how you see things, how you step back and see the big picture, but then sometimes zoom in to get in the details. There's so much translation with photography and why that makes sense. Like sometimes there's just that moment where the light catches a certain thing. And if
Mm,
you don't get it right, then you're never going to get that opportunity again.
right.
So I think that life and project management is very much like that. And I've seen it in my own life. So sometimes, even when I'm absolutely exhausted, if there's something that I have a really good feeling about or gut feeling, I will run so hard at that. And there's other times when things seem too good to be true and you're kind of like, I don't think I need to go for that right now because I might get in trouble. I sometimes rely on my intuition more than most other people. And sometimes it leads me totally the wrong direction. But again, that's life. That's every single one of us. I just
Absolutely. I love the fact that you are so willing to be so creative and to utilize the creativity that you have in your speaking and it just in the work that you do. You are really the driving force behind PSA. The things that happen through PSA don't happen without you. And
They
it's
do. They
yeah,
do. We've had so
no,
many
and I
people
don't.
on the
I
team
mean
that
that like.
tried it, and yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot. You do a lot. I mean, I couldn't even begin to say all the things.
I could not do it all by myself, though. I had that
True, but
I
you
had that
definitely keep us
year.
all in line and in order and what we should be doing and focused and motivated, which is so important. And so, yeah, so just thank you for your leadership and all that you do, and all the bazillion things that you do that nobody knows about. I also
Feel
love
like
the
you're
fact that
doing a million things too, even with
do what?
all
I'm
of it.
sorry.
Like, you're doing a million things too. All of us, true. I
I
mean,
think
it's
I think it's just the way of things, you know. But I
yeah,
also love that you share some personal parts about your life, like going into the swamp, and that it kind of relieves some of the stress and it helps out, and it just gives you a calm and things like that. I love that you share that. And so that brings me to we can wrap up, but let's talk about how people can get a hold of you. You're quite famous on LinkedIn. A lot of us are on LinkedIn. These videos will go on LinkedIn. And so we're on there because it's a business networking, and you are very, very big in this space. You are quite famous in that space, and it's because of the content that you're willing to share and that you put so much time and effort into sharing, and people just love it. We all love seeing your stuff. And so tell us, they can go to projectsuccessacademy.com. Go buy the course, buy the other courses, which we're going to have some of the other instructors on here as well. But then how can people additionally connect up with you?
LinkedIn is probably one of the best ways. I try to answer people as quickly as I can on LinkedIn. There's some days, that it gets almost underwater, And again, if we're on site somewhere and we're teaching for 8 hours a day, and it's hard for me not to check my phone or LinkedIn, but there's times,
Yeah.
that I may not be as responsive, but LinkedIn is a good way. Even my email with Project Success Academy is a good way. There's times I get a lot of spam, so sometimes the context is important too. And because of the level of spam that we are getting nowadays, I do have a tendency to kind of like cross check and try to find people on LinkedIn or validate that it's
Yeah.
real before I respond
Absolutely.
because I just feel like this is the world that we are all living in. I mean, my
Yep.
morning started with my dad saying, "Does this look like real?" And I'm like, "Don't touch it, don't click it, don't do
You know
anything."
what's weird is I've gotten like 5 or 6 emails like that just the last couple of days that are just I know they're not real, and it's like, how in the world are we getting subjected to some of this? But you're right.
Yeah,
And yes, you are very responsive on LinkedIn. Anybody who wants to know more about you or connect with you, you're also like very responsive of people that you've been in connection for a long time, meeting those people in person when you're out
try
traveling and
to.
stuff, which is
Yeah.
so fun to watch. We got to meet each other in Branson. We were both sick as dogs at the time. But we
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah. Yep, I remember that. That was like, and I'm actually catching a little bit of a cold right now, which I've
You
got
know?
off tomorrow night, and then I've got to travel this weekend. So I'm like, okay, water, water, water,
Yeah.
orange juice.
Yeah.
But yeah, but we made it happen, and
It
that's
was it
important.
was fun to get to see one another. We'll have to do it again when we're not sick, hopefully. But
Absolutely.
yeah, so
Absolutely.
I am just so excited that we got to have this talk, that we get to share with other people a little bit more about what you do and who you are. And maybe it can introduce some more people to you. Again, speaking, Tanya is incredible. And so if you have any events, corporate events, or any kind of events that you have going on, PMI events, anything like that, she is always available. Well, she's not always available because she's booked up quite a bit, but you can contact her and get on her calendar. It would be a good idea to start now for next year, getting her on the calendar because she books up pretty quick. She stays really busy. So,
Yeah, this year is
yeah.
I've had to look at different pockets and figure it out. I think I told a friend this morning, she was like, "We need a Baton Rouge date." I was like, "I'll be there the 21st and 22nd." And she's like, "What about?" I said, "I'm booked every weekend through October
You're
right now."
famous, Tanya. You're absolutely
My
famous.
favorite. It's
Is it famous?
overextended some days, yeah,
Well,
but
that too. I think
it
that
can be a
comes
good
with it.
thing.
So, but this was great. It gives people an opportunity to know a little bit about more who you are and what you do and the magic that's behind Project Success Academy, because again, it wouldn't even happen without you. There's so many things that you do. We're so grateful for you and all the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into all this, because you definitely do. So thanks for being on with me today.
Thank you. Thank you for spearheading this too. I appreciate everything that you do as well.
Absolutely.